I was holding the glass dish with both hands because it was still warm. Banana pudding. The kind that fogs the lid if you close it too soon. The side gate stuck the way it always did. I remember thinking I should oil it. I never had. That's when I heard it. Why is she even still around? It wasn't whispered. It wasn't shouted. It landed like an afterthought. Like the room had already agreed. Someone laughed. Not a full laugh. Just air through the nose. Ice clicked against glass. I stayed where I was. The wood of the gate pressed into my shoulder. A citronella candle burned nearby. Lemon and smoke. The car was right behind me. I could have turned around. The engine would have started. No one would have noticed. Instead, I counted to 3. Not to be brave. Just to make sure I'd heard it right. Then I stepped through. Music was too loud for the size of the yard. Folding tables. Paper plates bending under food. Someone had spilled soda near the cooler and tried to mop it up with a napkin that dissolved immediately. My daughter-in-law noticed me first. Her eyes flicked to the dish, then back to my face. "Oh," she said. "Didn't know you were coming." I brought dessert. No one moved. I set it down between a bowl of chips and something grilled past saving. The table leg wobbled when I leaned away. I took the chair at the end. The metal one that pinched the backs of your thighs if you stayed too long. People talked. Overlapping stories. Laughter that didn't need me. My son raised his beer later. Said something about family. Everyone lifted their glasses. I didn't. 2 kids ran past. My grandkids. One clipped my foot and didn't look back. I stayed until the music cut out on its own. I stacked plates. Folded napkins. Wiped a sticky patch no one else noticed. When I picked up the empty dish, it was cool. I buckled it into the passenger seat on the drive home. The seatbelt clicked like it mattered. At 11:47 p.m., I washed it, dried it, and put it back where it always went. That was the last thing I did without deciding first. The next morning, I made coffee in the small pot. The one I used when no one else was coming. I sat at the table by the window. The chair across from me stayed empty. It always had. There was a folder in the bottom drawer of the credenza. The drawer sticks when it's humid. I pulled harder than I needed to. Inside were papers I recognized without reading. Folded corners. Faded ink. My handwriting from years ago. The house paperwork was clipped together with a rusted binder clip. I remembered buying it because it was cheaper in bulk. $40,000. I didn't react. I closed the folder. Put it back. At 10:18 a.m., I called Lena. She answered on the second ring. I told her what I needed. Not why. Her kitchen smelled like lemon cleaner and reheated coffee. She skimmed the documents without expression. "It's theirs," she said. "You knew that." I nodded. She tapped one page with her nail. "But this doesn't mean you're finished deciding." That afternoon, I went to the bank. The woman at the counter had a chipped tooth and a name tag that said Aaron. She asked if I wanted a receipt. Yes. I folded it twice and slid it into my purse. Didn't look at it until later. At home, the house felt too quiet. I turned the radio on, then off again. At 4:06 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message. Short. Casual. Something about a misunderstanding. I set the phone face down and baked a pie. Blueberry. Frozen fruit. Lemon zest because I like it that way. I ate one slice standing up. The rest stayed untouched. That night, I slept badly. Not from regret. From the sense that something had shifted and hadn't finished moving yet. The first sign wasn't dramatic. It was an alert. A soft chime from my phone at 8:41 a.m. A notification from the bank. Something about a change being processed. I stared at it longer than necessary. Then I turned the phone off. That afternoon, the mail came early. A thick envelope. No return address I recognized. I didn't open it. I set it on the counter and went about my day. Folded laundry. Watered the plant by the window. Ate lunch without tasting it. By evening, the envelope was still there. My son came by the next day. He knocked twice. The second time softer. I stayed on the couch. Through the door, he said my name the way he used to when he wanted something fixed. "I don't get what's happening," he said. I waited. He shifted. Cleared his throat. "Can you at least talk to me?" I didn't move. Eventually he left. His car idled too long before pulling away. That night, the house felt larger than it ever had. I walked through it without turning on lights. I sat on the edge of the bed until my legs went numb. For the first time, doubt crept in. I stood and opened the drawer where I kept old birthday cards. I didn't read them. I counted. There weren't many. The next morning, I emptied the small drawer in the hallway. Stickers. Tiny toys. Things I'd bought just in case. I put them in a paper bag and set it by the curb. It stayed there until trash day. At 7:32 p.m., another message came through. "Jody says you're upset." She didn't mean anything by it. I deleted it without opening the thread. Later, someone knocked. The neighbor asking about her cat. She brought soup. We ate quietly. She didn't ask anything else. Still, it didn't feel good yet. Not even close. And that was the point where I realized this wasn't just withdrawal anymore. It was visible. The locksmith showed up at 9:12 a.m. He was chewing something and apologized before I spoke. He worked fast. Didn't ask questions. When he handed me the new keys, they felt heavier than they should have. I made 3 copies. Put each one somewhere different. The apartment listing stayed folded in my coat pocket for days before I called. Small place. First floor. Quiet. It smelled like fresh paint and nothing else. I said yes before she finished explaining the lease. Packing took longer than I expected. Not because there was a lot, because I kept stopping. On the last night, I sat on the floor and drank tea straight from the mug. At 11:03 p.m., my phone rang. I watched it until it stopped. Moving day came, without ceremony. When the door closed behind me, it didn't slam. It clicked. The new place was still when I arrived. I unpacked the kettle first. That evening, my granddaughter called. She asked if she could come by. Just her. When she arrived, she stood near the door like she wasn't sure of her place. I poured tea. She sat. Neither of us rushed. Outside, someone laughed in another apartment. It didn't belong to us. She left before it got dark. Afterward, I noticed something. No messages. No explanations. No apologies. Just absence. A week later, the unopened envelope was forwarded to my new address. It sat on the counter for 3 days before I slid it into a drawer. I still haven't opened it. Because some things don't need answers to have consequences. And by the time anyone asks where I went, they'll already be living in the silence I left behind.